Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Due Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. And we got to talking about them child labor laws out in Florida that have gone bye-bye because the deportation list has gotten so long that it wiped out all the employees out there in Florida. So now they need the children to pick up the slack. Yep, the child labor laws have gone kaput. They are now able to work before 6:30 a.m. and after 11 p.m. if you're 16 and 17 years old on a school night. And they can now work 8 hours a day 8 hours in a day and 30 hours in a week. Let me tell you something. As an HR manager for almost 20 years, that is full-time hours. And how in the world are you going to expect a child to work full-time if they've got school the next day? Well, not only have they gone bye-bye for the 16 and 17-year-olds, but the 14 and 15 years old, they don't even have any rules. Nope. They say that they can pretty much work as they will. Yeah. As long as they have graduated. Now, you know good and well. Florida ain't no different than New York. Your age is your age. When you are about 14, 15 years old, you're just going into high school. You have not graduated. But listen, here's the downside, the biggest downside to that. Once people get a taste of money, them kids get a taste of money. Once them parents got them kids being able to buy their own sneakers and clothes for school, boy, ain't gonna be no school. You listen, you know how these people get. Yes. So I don't know what they plan on doing out in Florida when all these kids bust out with a job, because it is going to be hard to corral them afterwards. And you know that if you got a kid and you know what it is for them to want money, you know good and well you better not let them have no job. 30 hours a week. Do you know how much money that is? Now, here's the thing. They also think they're slick because they are also paying the kids the same salary they were paying the illegal immigrants. So you know that was what, 50 cents? Well, in other words, you get what I'm saying. I'm just being, facetious. They're not really paying them anything. But for a kid 16, 17 years old, that little bit of money sounds like something and it feels like something. And in reality, it is something. So like I said, it is going to be hard to corral them back and keep them focused on school when they got $1 in their pocket. Oh my goodness. I am so looking forward to the follow-up story on this one. Well, out here in New York, they have gone bonkers with the BBLs as there is a fake, or at least there was a fake doctor out here in Queens who had set up in Astoria with a makeshift office and going for an exit of a BBL. He wasn't even trying to put one in, but ended up giving this 31-year-old woman an anesthetic that was lidocaine toxicity. Well, she's now brain dead. She may not even be here anymore, unfortunately, because they were not expecting her to live. And now, oh boy, he's behind bars after trying to flee to Colombia. And we just talked about just really warning the ladies, please stop, be smart. Just pay attention to your surroundings when you go up in these places, and get these procedures done. It is not healthy, it is not safe. Well, the biggest conversation yesterday, y'all, where them fans at? Oh, where was my fan? Where my fan at? Just imagine Pastor Steph having a fan. Where my fan at? Oh, man, all up in the church house. Where them fans at? Your boots on the ground is the theme song for some of these churches. Yeah, the real where them fans that they are using it for a processional. They are using it for line dancing. They are teaching the kids. They teaching the old people. They teaching it to everybody. They even got the pastors and the preachers singing that song. And I put my trust in the Lord. They have rearranged the lyrics to accommodate church attendance and lifestyle. Listen, no. God ain't in that no whore. Forget it. You cannot take what is in the street and put it up in the church and think it's going to be okay. Pastor Vinny talked about how when Stomp came out by Kirk Franklin, they were playing that in the clubs. Well, listen, there are many a church song they play in the club. Well, that's okay. If they want to take that and put it in the club, I mean, I wouldn't be dancing to Stomp in the club. But you know what? Hey, that's better than taking the secular music and putting it up into the church, especially when you don't even clear the lyrics. No, they were in there dancing to, drinking a moonshine and the whole 9 yards. Listen, we really need to draw the line somewhere. So come on, y'all. Hopefully, forget about that for a minute. Unfortunately, it's even gotten to the point where the pastors and the preachers have been included in this. Because, the first thing we were yelling is, where are the pastors and the preachers? How come they didn't put a stop to it? Well, they can't put a stop to it because they were part of it. So, listen, it starts at the head. It starts at the head. It just needs to stop, and we're the ones that need to stop it. If the congregants think that it's a great idea and they can bring it into the church, we're the ones that need to be able to tell them, nope, nah. But if we're including, that in our sermons and our, worship and praise songs, then, we don't stand a chance. Just don't invite nobody new to church. Okay? All right. Well, that's how we spent our Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. Today is Wow Wednesday, everybody. Hey, we made it halfway through the week by the grace of God. So we get started with our girl Vivian and her socially conscious segment, and I don't know what she gonna be talking about today. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody that it's due time with Pastor Steph is on, and whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
It's Dr. Tasha Rogers, and I'm back with another health tidbit. Do you see this little thing? You see this itty bitty little thing? Okay, can you see it? This is vitamin D2. Vitamin D2. Okay, this right here is 50,000 units. I make sure myself and every single patient in my practice is on this once a week. Okay, this little itty bitty thing is responsible for so much of your health, everything from depression to obesity to cancer protection. Get your vitamin D levels up. please, okay? Normal levels are anywhere between 30 and 100, but we know that your vitamin D is not therapeutically fighting disease until it's up around 70. So if your doctor tells you it's normal, if it's less than 70, please, please, please make sure you're supplementing vitamin D2, 50,000 units once a week. Gives you so much energy. Everybody's always like, I'm so tired. My iron must be low. Who said that? Who said that? Do you think it could be your vitamin D? It could be. Check into it, y'all.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And it is Wow Wednesday, everybody. Good morning. Giving thanks to God that we are here in the middle of the week. We made it, everybody. And I want to say good morning to you. So make sure if you're in the room, you check in. Let Pastor Steph know you're in the room. Other than that, I don't know you're out here. Well, let's say good morning to our girl, Ketty. Hey, Ketty. And let's say good morning to our friend, Terrence. Hey, Terrence. Thank you for joining us this morning. We got a check-in from our boy, Serge. Hey, Serge. How you doing? We got a check-in from our girl, Teresa. Hey, Teresa. Good morning, Miss Charlene. Always good to see you that way. I know you're doing well, and I ain't got to ask Terrence, how you doing? Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Teresa says, hey, with those child labor laws in Florida being pushed to the side, the adults with no high school diploma will be pushed out for the young bucks. Absolutely. You better go get that education so you can now fight with the big boys, because the young bucks gonna be saying bye-bye. All right, we got to check in from our girl Tamika. Hey, Lady Tamika, we'll be talking to you in a couple of seconds, and we've got to make sure we say good morning to the ladies who hold it down in the background. If it weren't for them, we would not have our Facebook Live or our YouTube Live. Good morning, Shantice, and good morning, Anika. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Don't forget, keep checking in as we say good morning to our girlfriend Vivian with her socially conscious segment. Good morning, Viv.
Good morning. Happy Wow Wednesday. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Well, you know what I always like to ask you. What you got for us today?
All right, today on Socially Conscious, we are starting off with an update on those congestion prices. I know last time we spoke, they were supposed to be coming up with a solution or a final decision as of the end of March. Well, here we are in April, and the MTA and federal government have agreed to a timeline that would keep congestion pricing tolls on through late October, according to reports. And the proposed timeline, both parties would have until late October to finalize their motions to the judge. Then the judge would have the final say on the toll to enter Manhattan under 60th Street. Even with the court case in limbo, the federal government set a deadline for the MTA to shut off the tolling system by March 21st, but the tolls remained on. The federal government then extended the deadline to April 20th, and now they're saying it will be at least until late October before we know whether or not these tolls will remain a thing or not. So as of right now, you'll still be paying those tolls at least until late October. Speaking of congestion pricing, now restaurants are saying that congestion pricing is affecting business. It's been a few months into congestion pricing, and some local restaurants say they're feeling the pinch. In the West Village, business is down significantly, they're saying. A restaurant owner says he's not sure how much longer the restaurant can afford to stay open. He is a restaurant owner with his family. His name is Christopher Caron. He and his parents opened an eatery 12 years ago, and they share their story about their journey of moving from France to New York and opening up a restaurant. He says they made it through the hard times of the pandemic, only for his business to now take a nosedive since Trump has become president and since those congestion prices have taken effect. He says to make matters worse, some of the restaurant suppliers had to start charging a $10 surcharge per delivery in order to cover congestion pricing for their drivers who are delivering for their restaurants, which means that less deliveries are going out. He says businesses is down 20 to 30% since the same time period last year. He is hoping that the MTA will reconsider his suggestion to include delivery drivers in part of their exemption. He says he reached out to them, but they said there are already 4 exemptions in place, and unfortunately, delivery drivers are not one of them. And he really believes that they should be a part of it as they are delivering essential goods to customers. So as of right now, that is unfortunately not the case. And these congestion tolls are definitely taking a toll on restaurants. Next, we have reports saying that the amount of people who have been given children melatonin has increased significantly in the recent years. Many stories have come across the news of child care workers being caught giving out melatonin gummies to children in order to get them to sleep longer. Reports say there has been a substantial increase in melatonin ingestion in children, particularly those under the age of 6, leading to a rise in emergency room visits. A report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention indicates that between 2019 and 2022, approximately 11,000 emergency department visits were attributed to melatonin ingestions by infants and young children. So not only are they being given to the children in the child care facilities, but children at home are getting their hands on them as well. And it's caused hospital visits to go up. The number of calls to poison control centers related to melatonin ingestion in children has also risen, with a 530% increase between the years of 2012 and 2021. And doctors are saying that the effects of melatonin in children has not been studied long enough, and they do not know the long-term effects of giving melatonin to children. These effects are very unclear, they're saying. Some of the effects of melatonin include headaches, dizziness, confusion, nausea, diarrhea, mood swings, abdominal pain, vivid dreams, increased irritability, and even delayed development. So it's getting real serious out there. But now we have our wow story of the week, which is very different than our usual wow stories of the week. But nonetheless, reports say that the Trump administration is planning to strip New York City of $188 million, which Mayor Eric Adams had the pleasure of announcing on Tuesday. According to Adams, this money was part of the Shelter and Service Program. It would have been used to reimburse the city for its caring of asylum seekers. Adams says that the migrant crisis has cost taxpayers $7.5 billion in just 3 years. And they were really banking on that money, or at least some of that money, being reimbursed. But unfortunately, that will not be happening. Although this is all being done under Trump's leadership, Adams has chosen to direct his fire toward former President Biden, who he says has done very little to help New York City, as a flood of hundreds of thousands of migrants came in and cost the city over $7 billion. He says that he is looking to have a more productive relationship with Trump and his administration in hopes of fixing this issue and getting help with other issues such as infrastructure and city safety issues. But this has been Vivian with Socially Conscious, giving you the news that we are following. And remember, if you have any wild stories that you would like to submit, please feel free to direct message me on Facebook. My username there is Vivian BM. And come back every Wednesday to find out if your story has been chosen. Thank you, as always, to our loyal viewers. And thank you, Pastor Steph.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. Some socially conscious issues for sure.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. We'll check you in a minute. See ya. All righty. Now, we've got some in-between stuff we're going to talk about while Vivian gets herself ready to be a part of the conversation. I pulled up a story. Oh, my goodness. I pulled up a story, and it is very disturbing. And it's about a Kansas youth pastor who has been sentenced after he allegedly attempted to murder his wife and their 5 children. And wait till you find out why after these messages.
But Harriet Tubman's real name wasn't even Harriet Tubman. She was born Araminta Minty Ross, but changed her name after escaping slavery. She lived to be 91 years old, passing away in 1913, but her story is nothing short of legendary. She suffered from narcolepsy after a brutal head injury from an overseer, causing her to randomly fall into deep sleeps, even during rescue missions. Despite this, she led over 70 enslaved people to freedom, without losing a single one. But she wasn't just about the Underground Railroad. Tubman was a Union scout, nurse, and spy working directly with the U.S. Army. And she became the first woman in U.S. history to lead an armed military raid, freeing over 750 slaves in one night during the Combahee River Raid in 1863. Despite her service, she was never officially recognized or paid as a soldier, spending over 30 years fighting for a military pension. Even after all that, she struggled financially, often selling homemade pies and root beer just to survive, because she gave most of her money away to help others. Later in life, she opened a home for the elderly, ensuring that former slaves and the poor had a place to live with dignity.
Wow. I have heard the story of Harriet Tubman for years and years and years. Never did I know that she had anything to do with the military. Never did I know that she sold homemade pies and root beer just to make things happen, we have really been cheated out of our history. Yeah, I mean, they just keep recycling these same people and telling the same stories over and over and over again. And we never really know about all of these intricacies that go on and have gone on in these people's lives. And we have no idea what, these inventors, who the inventors really are. So we have another one coming up in a minute. But in the interim, I'm going to start this story that we're going to continue, after Vivian comes on. But this Matthew Lee Richards, oh my goodness, not even last September. This has been brewing since September of 2023. He attacked his family with a knife while they were in the bed. And he not only attacked them, but allegedly set the whole house on fire. Yes, set the whole home on fire to conceal the assault. You want to know why? Because they were facing eviction. And I hate to say it like this. But this is part of Let's Talk About It Tuesday. I hate to say it like this. I'm going to get my ladies on to have this conversation. One of the things that I said to myself was, okay, what side of the fence was this on? Because it's something about outside of the fence. We face too many traumas on a daily basis than to be killing up the family. If that's the case, it would be no population over here. If we worried about eviction and homelessness, a shortage of food, we ain't got no sneakers or clothes. A lot of people on the other side of the fence, they don't know how to handle trauma. Where my girls at? Where's my lady Tamika at? Let me see what she got to say about this.
Where your girls at?
Yes, I should have opened with that one. Oh my goodness gracious. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you today?
I am well, thank you. I am well. Before I ask you this question, I wanted to get you on and just finish up this story. They say there were multiple 911 calls repeatedly about this incident from the children who said that the father was chasing them with a knife. And when the police arrived, they found 3 of the children stabbed in the house. And the wife and 2 of the children were taken to the hospital in critical condition. And 2 other of the children and 1 adult child was found with minor injuries. And the kids said that the father had gone from room to room throughout the house and stabbed them. And his issue was he was upset because they were facing eviction and he didn't want the wife and the children to know about the financial situation. And he figured they would be better off dead than knowing what they were having to face. So I kept saying to myself, I gotta find me a picture because I need to know what side of the fence these people are on. Because I'm sorry, a whole lot of people on our side of the fence didn't face eviction. And girl, if killing up the family was the remedy, the population would be quite small. Do you think?
Absolutely. I think of Big Mama and them who took in other people. They took in their children, somebody else's children, somebody's neighbor, somebody's wife, somebody's son. because that's what we do, and we learn, there are plenty of people that learn to function handicapped, we learn how to deal with, whatever it is, our circumstances, but we're thrivers, and that comes from the fiber of God. That's not something that you just pick up and you learn, I went to the school of hard knocks. No, you went through the school of Jesus and you function. We're not jumping out of windows. We're not killing our children. We're not selling our children. We're not, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I feel the same way as you, we don't do stuff like that. We figure it out. We call Big Mama and them, ask, research, find a friend, we will deal with, so the fact that you're saying that he's for eviction, I mean, you couldn't figure it out, you couldn't talk to your family about it, you come up with a plan. You don't kill your family. Who's doing that these days? Apparently him.
I'm gonna kill my kids, but not only that, I'm gonna stab them, Tamika. I'm gonna not only hide what's going on in the family, but I'm gonna take them out so brutally they gotta suffer like that, because stabbing is painful, and they always
everywhere.
That's what I'm saying. And, not only it's painful. You're talking about stabbing somebody to the point of death. That means that's gonna most times gonna take more than one stab. So now you're gonna take your children and your wife, people you have supposedly vowed to care for and take care of. You're gonna put them through that massive pain and misery, so they don't find out that they won't have a home. I'm like, what in the world is this? Turn the gas on or something. I mean, I'm like, yo,
you'll never know.
Yo, give them some melatonin and put them to sleep or something. I'm like, what in the world is going on? Let's see what some of these comments are. Shard says, definitely not on our side of the fence. We be like, yo, we going to move in with grandma in grandma's place until we get on our feet. Yes, Serge, because that's what grandma's for. She gonna move them kids on over. You gonna sleep 2 and 3 in a bed, and y'all gonna make it happen. Plain and simple as that. We got Kenny that says, what happened to prayer and asking the church for help? Well, unfortunately, what does that say? What does that say?
Just do it.
Okay, I like that. Well, you know what, Kenny and Tamika with the prayer shirt, this is what happens when you keep prayer out of your life. When you don't have God in your life, because prayer does not become an alternative. It's like now, instead of us going after prayer, we are going after murder. So here's what would have happened. He must have planned on killing himself, Tamika.
He had to have, because you're not going to serve for all those lives that you're affecting. You're going to be the last one to go. That was the plan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's see if our girl Vivian is ready. And I'm going to continue this story when we later on in the morning. I'm going to continue this conversation, and let's see what we come up with. Let's say good morning to our girl Shantice.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I found it. There goes you.
There we go. There we go. The youth pastor. So there you go, Kenny, with the what happened to prayer.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he prayed.
This supposed to be the Okay, wait. We not gonna continue this conversation just yet. We're gonna get to our socially conscious, and then we coming back to this conversation. Woo, child. Thank you for giving us a prelude to our continuing conversation, Shantice. Let's say good morning to our girlfriend Vivian again. All righty. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, we coming back to that conversation. That's going to be our second wow story of the morning. All righty. As Vivian gave us her first story in Socially Conscious, we've got the congestion prices that was supposed to be going bye-bye at the end of March, but they have found a way to slide it past the second date of April, and now they're well into October, and man, they are racking up the bucks because the numbers we heard at one point that they pull in per week, you can see why they're stretching this thing out to October. And then they're gonna decide. What you think is going on here, Tamika?
They're saying them bucks, come in, and they never look at it from the perspective of the people who have to travel. The pockets that it's coming out of. It's just that they're looking at the numbers and they're saying, it would not surprise me if that would be finality by October. You're seeing how it works, and you're seeing how much money it is raking in. Considering also the fact that we need money now because of all of the migrants that we let in. So it's like, that's a way to get that money back. So, it's always us that pay, even with them coming in, we still pay. They were getting, food stamps and housing and it was still coming out of our pocket. They have not been here long enough to be able to, provide any type of access. You had nothing to give. The whole entire time you've been taking, and it's been coming out of our pocket. We've been giving, and we are still paying for it.
Absolutely. We got to check in from our friend Pansy. Good morning, Pansy. Thank you for joining us this morning. Shantice, Tamika says, thanks to the, other situation that they didn't get rid of fast enough, they're finding a way to slide on this congestion pricing to help to, bring in the bucks and make up for some loss. What you say?
I agree. Any way they can try to compensate and not only make up for the money they feel they've lost, but also to make money. They're not going to try to just let that go like that. Like, oh, wait, we making how much per car? We doing what? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, no. Let's keep this reinforced. Let's, lengthen this like we do everything else. And then October, there'll be another excuse as to why it's going to go from October to January. And then January comes and it's going to be another reason why it goes from January to March. It's just going to always be another reason to just stretch this out. It's always about the money.
Yep, absolutely. Terrence said, I knew that was going to get pushed back because of the money that was being made. I've also said all the business we're going to get involved with the traffic was not going to show up. Here comes online shopping. Yeah, they was going to take a hit to online shopping because people ain't going for them dollars that they spending to go downtown. Viv, as a driver, you may not go through this congestion pricing, but what say you? You think they're kind of pushing this along for the bucks?
Absolutely, and they're going to continue. I feel like it's maybe a ploy because if you have it in the back of your mind that, oh, this is temporary, you might be more willing to go back, go down that way because you're thinking it's temporary. So maybe they'll collect a couple of more tolls if they keep allowing people to think that this is going to go away soon. But I don't believe that it's going anywhere. I don't believe that is going anywhere anytime soon. And if this is a way of them making back money from, the other things, I just see this becoming a fight, because it doesn't seem like MTA is going to be willing to just give up that money so easily. Because the
Yep.
MTA is the ones that's been fighting for these toll things to stay on. As soon as
Right.
Trump went and asked them to, told them to turn it off, they went and filed a motion in the court to get it turned right back on. So it's just going to be a fight over who gets this money and what this money is being used for, because it ain't going to MTA and it's not going to these roads.
Oh,
So
God.
they'll be fighting for this money for a while.
Well, I actually think that MTA's pockets are getting deeper, because remember now, the more they keep the congestion pricing going, the more MTA has taken in more bucks, because some people have gone to public transportation. And now I agree, pull a okie doke, let them think that, it's only for another month. And somebody will say, oh, well, it's only going to cost me another $50 this month. I can budget that out. And each month they're going to keep on doing it. So I agree that this is the ploy to kind of keep people going. And if you figure you can go an extra $50 for the next May, June, July, August, September, October, 6 times 50 is $300. If I cut back on my coffee and I cut back on the donuts and I don't shower for 10 minutes, only shower for 2 minutes. So yeah, I can do this extra $300, so I do believe that it's a mind game. I do believe it's a mind game. I do believe that they just, the more the money comes in, like you ladies say, the more they licking their lips, because now they're getting to see, the money that they're pulling in. And I do agree, it's not going to the roads. Forget that. They ain't the roads ain't getting. And remember, Port Authority is getting a part of this money as well. So everybody got their hand in the cookie jar. It ain't going nowhere. And I'm going to tell you something else. As quiet as it's kept, if one judge is the deciding factor, they're probably lining his pockets as well. So, or her pockets as well. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised later if next year's socially conscious segment, God spares, Vivian talk about, oh, guess what we found out? I wouldn't be surprised at all, because they are something else. Serge says, yep, congestion pricing is just money MTA ain't going to use for the workers or to better the company itself. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if that was also the next socially conscious topic, how the powers that be over at MTA is lining their pockets with the money. I wouldn't be surprised.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. All right. Well, who else is going to take the hit other than the restaurants? One restaurateur says that after 12 years of being in existence, him and his family opened up their restaurant. They survived the pandemic, which a lot of restaurants did not survive. They survived the restaurant business, and now with the congestion pricing, business is down 20 to 30%. Woo! And he's made a petition to include delivery drivers as part of the exemption, because that's hitting them as well. And they've told him, sorry, we've done all we could do as far as the exemptions. Whoever's going to be included is included, and whoever ain't. What say you, Shantice? The restaurant, as a restaurant girl, how does this affect restaurants and people who eat at the restaurants? Because this is a domino effect.
It definitely is, especially as you stated, since the pandemic, delivery became much more of an option. That now that we're not in the pandemic, people will still opt for delivery rather than going into, the restaurants. So that has become a main part of the way restaurants now make their money. Not really so much of people coming in, but who orders for pickup, who orders for delivery. So now you're saying that there's these high prices now just for me to drive from the restaurant to whatever home or business I'm delivering to and then back to the restaurant. Now that means I'm gonna have to now charge that to the customers, which is why when we go on DoorDash and stuff, okay, so if I walk into Popeyes and I get me a 5-piece, and if they got that as a special, that could be $10. But if I get on DoorDash and I order that, that's $30. It's like, okay, so it's an extra $20 just for you to drive it to me. And then on top of that, you want a tip. The tip is get a different profession. So yeah, no, it's really going to kill a lot of their business because customers, we're not going to want to pay for that. We'll rather suck it up and eat at home or make our way. It's cheaper for me to go pick my food up. So it's definitely going to affect their business, unfortunately. And as Vivian was initially giving a story, I just heard you, Pastor Steph, saying like, I can't be no restaurant owner because it is just too fickle. It is too unpredictable. You don't know, 1 minute you good, next minute now, don't nobody come into your restaurant, or you're hoping people come to you and all that. It's just too much.
Yeah. Tamika, you're in the dark. I don't know if you realize that, but there we go. I was like, what happened to my girl? We just seeing her silhouette. What say you? You know, the restaurant business is being hit big time. 20 to 30% is a lot of money.
Yeah, and what they're also doing is in some places, I know in my neighborhood, everybody's got, an extra price on everything, and I can be, I can be a little frugal, and why am I paying $10 for a pizza and a soda? Wait a minute, and just within the last, let's say within the last 2 weeks or so, there's a place that I used to frequent where, I would just get some fish and, some rice and plantain, and that would be a meal for me. And it was like $12. They're talking about 17. What?
Yeah.
I went in the other day and I just asked for fish, nothing else, just fish. No side orders. She said $7, one piece of fish. I was like, I'm going back home and cook it myself, because that just one piece of fish for $7 is ridiculous, and
right.
What is going to happen if you're a cooker, you're probably most likely going to go at home and cook yourself. Now, the sad part about it is you have a whole lot of people who don't cook, and that eat out every day. I remember working at this workplace, and like the majority of the staff, they were going out to eat every day. I was like, what does your pocket look like? What does your bill look like?
Right.
And I listened to you talking about, trying to figure it out. And the sad part about that is somebody's doing that right now. Somebody's trying to figure out, okay, if I leave the lights off tonight, and tomorrow, then, okay, and I mean, it sounds funny, but somebody right now, their entire life is being affected because
that's right.
How am I going to function for this week? Just to make sure. And it's sad. Everybody's got their hands out. DoorDash got their hands out. Uber got their hands out. The restaurants got their hands out. You better go to Pinterest, to YouTube. YouTube tells you everything. Figure it out how to cook, because you're gonna have to learn. After a while, you're gonna be overwhelmed in debt because I needed a sandwich today. Put them two together, peanut butter work. Will still taste good.
That's right. Vivian, 20 to 30% is almost 50%. I know they always talk about Miss Steph, you just round up. Yo, 50% is looking real close to that 30% right now.
Yeah, that's sad. I think we're going to see a lot of these sob stories, and not in a bad way, but I think a lot of people are going to come out with their stories about how these congestion prices is affecting their business, or affecting them in general, especially as they're going back and forth with extending this time of turning these cameras off. So I think a lot of this is going to come out and make sense that, especially in the city, that these restaurants are suffering because of congestion pricing. Because if you don't have to go out there, you're not going to go out there, especially not to go eat, when there's other things
Right.
that you can do out here in your own neighborhoods and things like that. So it makes sense that they're suffering. And hopefully this will change their minds. And when it comes to tips, I'm one that takes everything into account when it comes to how much I'm going to tip you. Oh, you're charging me a surge price? Well, that's going to take part of your tip. Oh, you're charging me this? Oh, that's taking your tip. So it's going to be heck for the restaurant owners, for the restaurant employees, for the delivery workers. Everybody's going to suffer. Because every dollar you take from
Absolutely.
me is going to be taken away from them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because people be looking at that overall dollar. They're not
Yep.
just looking at no one little piece. They're looking at the total. Terrence says they can't grant one restaurant access because if they do, they're going to have to grant every single one less money for them. Also, all the restaurants that have nasty food will benefit from this because people will be forced to eat their food due to paying extra for some of that should have been delivered to them. This is a mess here, and I'm going to tell you why. Because exactly what you ladies are talking about is what happened the other day. So I was up late, I was starving, I was tired. I was like, I can't go in here and cook. I can't. And I opened up DoorDash, and I'm looking and I'm going, I just can't pay this. It's Tamika, one of my favorite fish restaurants. At one point, it was $10 it was $15 for 10 pieces. I could live with that. When I looked up, it was $18 for 10 pieces. Then I said to Shantice, I said, girl, $23 for the same 10 pieces. They will not be seeing Stephanie's name on their order form for a long time. And it just sours you, like you said, from even ordering out, because I'm not spending $23 for 10 pieces of fish. You have got to be out your mind. But unfortunately, like you said, all of these things matter. And Vivian is right, because I was looking at, the first thing I did was I went to some other restaurant the other night, and I'm looking at, I said, well, you know what? I see how much they're charging, and it was zero delivery fee. But here's what I noticed from before. And I opened up I pretended like I was going to go through with it, and I looked at all the other charges, and all those charges went up because you're not charging delivery fee. So now you putting those fees into some of the other areas, like she said. So now, yeah, you ain't charging me no delivery fee, but yeah, sorry, I'm not paying extra here, there, and everywhere else. So unfortunately, this will be the demise of some businesses who are below 60th Street, because they're not going to be able to afford it. Because not only that, but real estate prices are still going up. They're still paying increase on rent. Remember now, the National Grid has gone up, so and Con Ed, so they're cooking, they got heat, all these expenses that they've got, all the food expenses that they have. So now they're getting the increase. Who are they going to charge it to? They're going to charge it to us. So somebody's going to eat these fees. And if we're refusing to pay them, unfortunately, those businesses will be out of commission. It's going to hit them. It's going to hit them, and it's going to hit them hard. We got to check in. Oh, wait. We got a ticket from our Pastor KL. Hey, Pastor KL. Thank you so much for joining us. Hoping you're feeling well today. Terrence says the funny part is they all treated the congestion price like Trump Oh yeah, they voted for him, and now they thought that he was going to save them. And like Tara says, now that it's affecting them, now they want to get rid of it. Well, listen, it's all part of who you put into office. So, what happened to our girlfriend Vivian? Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
All righty. We got the melatonin issue that we're facing, the effects of. They say in between 2019 and 2022, they had 11,000 more visits. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. And starting from infants, these increases have been going up. The call to poison control have also risen 530% between the years of 2012 to 2021. All of the effects: dizziness, vivid dreams, headaches, delayed development, all of these things. Tamika, what now? What now? What? Melatonin crazy, and now all our children are now suffering.
And who made you a doctor that decided that you could give? You prescribing medication. You don't know what this is going to do for your babies. I remember back in the day when they used to give children Benadryl or NyQuil. Anybody?
Yeah.
But I mean, some way, somehow we survived. But I'm not saying that was right. But melatonin, just so that you can get an extra moment of peace, not recognizing that now your child's attention is not functioning right. You having problems, and it's because and then here's the thing that gets me. It's one thing when I as a parent do it. It's another thing when I sent my child to you, and this is what you do so that you can get a moment.
Right.
Crazy. Right. Like, what is wrong with these people? Nobody is really taking. Mamas are not mamas like they used to be. Big mamas ain't big mamas like they used to be. Family is not like it used to be. And you have to be ever so cautious. I would lose my mind if my child came home and I found out that this is what you do during the school hours. And it's sad enough that the schools are doing, and it's far worse to find out that parents are doing it. You trying to figure out why your niece is acting kind of crazy. Come to find out that child's mother gave them melatonin.
Yeah, this is really a bit much. It's a bit much. Pastor KL says sometimes he has to give melatonin to the dog. Well, I guess animal control will be contacting him soon. So, we'll be reading about Pastor KL in the newspaper. Shantice. Okay. Pastor KL, Vivian, get ready to ring you up. All righty. Shantice, what say you about this melatonin phase everybody seems to be going through for the kids now?
Just quit. Listening to Lady Tamika, and it's just like I found out somebody been giving my niece something. Y'all might as well shut the facility down, the school down, everything. Because it's just no. If it has to be to where you going to this extreme, this is the only way you know how to deal with these children. Quit before someone quits your life. Because it's only a matter of time before Vivian comes with the wow story of how a parent just walked in school and just started slapping every adult they saw because I've been finding out this is what you've been doing to my child and my child's friend. Because see, on this side of the fence, we defend each other. So wait, you've been not only hurting my kid, but my kid's best friend. Well, the parent couldn't take off work, so I just came and slapped you for him and her. So don't even worry about it. I got y'all. I'm gonna call you. I'm walking in the building on the phone with the friend's parent, mother. Yeah, girl, I'm already here.
Right. I was just getting ready to say,
yes.
like, I got her mother on the phone.
I'm talking to Principal so yeah, no, but put me down for my kid, yeah, and her, yeah, put my name next to her too, because I'm taking both of them out. It's gonna be they're playing too many games. They're playing too many games, and you couldn't try to do that. I was just trying to think which neighborhood is this being done in, because it would just be over before it even begins. If you have to go, if you have to get to that point, like, this is the only way I can have a peace of mind while dealing with these children, then guess what? You might as well get that melatonin to yourself and let them find you in the classroom on the shared time carpet before you try to give it to one of these kids and you die.
Viv, listen, you with the kiddies every day. How hard is it not to give the kids the melatonin? Tell us about the other side of the fence that says, listen, I got to deal with these kids every day, and I'm not giving no kids no melatonin.
Right. I mean, you want to some days, and it's always the kids that gives you the hardest time, that don't never want to take no nap when it's nap time. So now I got to deal with you from open to close. So I get it. I get the wanting to give them melatonin, but come on. Like it's been said, you don't know what that stuff is doing to the child ultimately. Yeah, they might sleep a few extra minutes while you're there, but then what happens when the parent comes and tells you that there's some medical issues with the child?
Right.
And now you got to be investigated because you were the one who was taking care of this child, and now something's going on with them medically. Like, why would you want to risk that for a couple of extra minutes of sleep or peace on your end? Like, that is, it's just not worth it. Like Shanti said, if it's that bad, it's time for you to move, switch professions, move jobs, do something, because you're really putting your life at risk. Whether somebody comes, beats you up or kills you, or you go to jail because you wanted to give somebody else's child melatonin, it's not worth it. Just leave the job. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's so true. I thought, Tamika, you were going to say, remember back in the day when they used to give the kids brandy in the bottle? That's what I thought you were going to say.
Abuse.
Yes, back in the day, the big mama would tell you, girl, you need to put that baby to sleep. Just drop it here. Drop a little bit of this brandy in the formula, and that'll knock them out. Yeah, that's what they used to do back in the day. Now, you may have raised an alcoholic, but at least they were not confused, dizzy, delayed development. They have all that going on. Let's see what we're saying. Anika says, sad, filling these kids with drugs so early. Their little bodies haven't even fully developed. Hope there aren't any lasting effects. Absolutely. Tara says it was FDA approved, and I think that means to get people in the hospital, and when it reaches a quota, now for some reason it's harmful. Everything that FDA approves always turns around not to be good. Athena says, good morning. We got to check in with Athena. Hey, Athena, good morning. Thank you for stopping by. KL says, don't count out the extra minutes. See, this is why he's not a part of Wednesday's lineup, because his advice on Wednesdays is null and void. Anika says, back in the day, it was rum on my side.
Wow.
Tara says, wow, Pastor Steph, telling on herself. Wow. I didn't give Shantice no alcohol. Shantice gave Shantice the alcohol.
And I got in trouble. Y'all got it from birth. And I got in trouble when I got on the alcohol at 15. Make it make sense, people.
I didn't give my kids no brandy. That's what, and I had a pastor grandma, so she didn't tell us to do that. But I do know, that's what they used to tell people. Put a little bit of this brandy up in there. And for Anika's people, put a little bit of this run, this 100, the 50, what's that, 151 proof? Oh, he was killing the kids. Oh my goodness gracious. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Majesty. Terrence says, now we know why Shantice is like this.
Blame it on the alcohol. I'm like this
Nah,
because they didn't
Terrence.
put it in my bottle.
Majesty says, definitely. My son's grandmother used to try that, and I shut it down ASAP. Wait, Majesty, she had the brandy or she had the rum? The
rum.
151 proof.
The rum. Why I just sound old? 151 proof. Why is it?
That's the way they used to talk back in the day. They used to talk about the proof, how much proof, how strong the alcohol was. Now it don't even mean, they don't even talk about that no more because it's all
rum.
Majesty said it was the rum.
Rum and Red Bull in the baby's bottle.
Oh my good, no. Back in the day, dead serious. That's what they used to do. They say just drop a little bit in there, ain't gonna kill them. Put them to sleep for a little
exactly
while.
what they say. Ain't gonna kill them. They gonna be all right.
See, I told y'all.
That's what they saying now. See, this is where it came from. It's then from our ancestors.
Our ancestors from 1970.
From the 1900s.
Oh my goodness. But Lord, it wasn't drugs. Unfortunately, people want the easy way out. And that's the sad part about it. You don't want to do your job. You took the job. And as the ladies have said, it's time to change your profession. When you start administering drugs to children, you need to, it's definitely time, because if they catch you, you going to jail. Is it worth it? Go ahead and work in Burger King. It's safer. You may not make the money that it may not be as pleasant. You may smell like fries and burgers at the end of the day, but at least you won't be in jail. It's just not worth it. When you don't love the kids, enough to tolerate them and deal with them. Vivian says you got to, some of the kids that are there from the opening to the close and they wide awake because they do not want to take a nap. You have to assess whether it's worth staying on this job or not. You have to assess whether, it's safe in the club. Go ahead and do what you do on the outside, because when you don't even take into consideration, what these children are made of. Every child is not the same. Everybody's body is not the same. You don't know the effect that this melatonin is going to have on these children. So stop playing doctor and stop assuming that this is going to be fine, because at the end of the day, it isn't. Majesty says, Pastor's right. They definitely did talk about the proof. Proof was the way to go. Anika says, I don't know. I used to think Ray and nephew was actually people, but that was the name of the rum.
She's stupid.
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, we got our wow story of the morning. So Trump is planning on stripping New York City 188. Did I understand million, Vivian?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. And this was from the Shelter and Service Program. And it was from what they used to care for, or what they had planned on caring for, the asylum seekers. And Adams is redirecting the focus to Biden. Now, Trump is taking the money, but Biden's going to get the blame. And I want to hear why, Tamika, why you think Biden's going to get the blame opposed to Trump from Adams.
Because they're bed partners. Yeah, I'm certainly not going to tell.
That's right.
As far as
That's
we know, we know ever since this whole thing You know, he got in there and he spoke with Trump, and you know, we can clearly see it. There's no in the dark. You know, they done got the bed together, and so now we had already said it a long time ago. Eric Adams is going to have to do everything that Trump has that he wants in order to function. Now you can't move to the left or to the right. You can't blink without asking Trump, can I blink? Is it okay for me to blink now? You know, it's very, very clear that that's exactly what that is, you know. And, you know, I'm sure when he got in the office, that wasn't his plan. But we all know when you get into politics, there's a whole lot of things that you're going to have to do that you may not want to do. And now that you're in that position, well, now you're going to have to sit in it for the length of time that you're in this position.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Shatice, you know, $188 million they're getting ready to take from New York City. Here's something you always say. They claim they ain't got no money. How you taking $188 million? What you say about that now?
So that's exactly what I was about to say. Let me hold the dollar. Let me get it.
Okay.
We ain't got no money. There's no funds. There's no money. And you're trying to refocus the attention because Biden isn't the one who pardoned you. Now, I owe you my life, every bit of energy I have. So while I'm still in the position and I still have the ability to sway at least 2 or 3 people, let me sway those 2 and 3 people from looking at ashy lip Trump to Biden, because Biden is the reason for this. And if it wasn't for Biden, then we wouldn't have that. And if it wasn't for Biden, then it's like, stop. Already, see, people who deflect, they don't understand how obvious they make themselves look while they're trying to, you know, deflect. It's like you make yourself look so obvious. Just stop. It's this is the person who's actually making the move right now. Even if someone else was the ultimate cause for it, this is the person who's making this decision right now. So you trying to bring someone else in the limelight to point the finger at them just makes you look all kinds of crazy. But it has everything to do because you just saved my life. So now I owe it to you to use my platform in any way I can to now make you look good. Horrible.
Absolutely. Viv, $188 million from New York City alone.
Sad. He's like you, Pastor Steph. He definitely rounded up when he was doing that announcement. He said they're taking $200 million from us, and we're gonna fight for our money. We're gonna use all the legal power we can to get this money back to us. But yeah, to blame Biden instead of Trump just makes it so obvious that you are under his thumb. And he was saying how people was telling him, oh, you know, resist. And he's like, I'm not part of the resistance movement. I'm part of the productivity movement. Like, you just sound stupid, sir.
Wow.
You sound stupid. You already said well before that you were not going to publicly go against Trump. You're not going to say anything negative against Trump. And once he pardoned you, we already knew what to expect. So it's all right. Like, I don't know who you think you're fooling, because it's not us. Maybe it's you. You're lying to yourself, because we can see right through you. We know exactly what you're doing. And we're betting on him to get this money back. It's good. It's as good as going, because he ain't going to put up much of a fight. If Trump says it's his, then it's his.
Absolutely. $188 million. Now, if you're taking back $188 million, how much did you spend? Ooh, how much has been spent? If you can take, because you ain't taking back all, you know, this was what was allocated that wasn't used. So imagine what was used. That's the scarier number.
They said it. They said it was billions.
Yes. Yes. It has to be, Viv. If you are pulling back $188 million from what was not used, that was allocated, then what did you really use? So it has to be in the billions. And that's why I thought about when Shantice always says, and y'all keep saying y'all ain't got no money. This is evidence right here. You don't have no money. How many people you're pulling back $188 million? What could you really do for the city of New York with $188 million? How many people would no longer be homeless?
Right.
How many people could eat? How many people could use that assistance? How many community centers could we put up? How many after school programs could we put up? How come the after school programs don't have no money? And you about to pull $188 million? If you left $1 million in the Board of Education, it would take care of what? 188 million. You take it back to do what with? It is highway robbery the way they treat us. It is horrific the way they do us. It does not matter. And you have this Adams, who is taken up for Trump, like you ladies have said. You're kissing up to him because now you don't want to rub him wrong, and you are definitely showing your true colors right about now. You are definitely showing your true colors. Serge says these Trump supporters blame everything on the Democrats, and now we see businesses profits are going down, stocks going down, nothing is going up. Oh wait, it's the Democrats' fault, they say. It's true. They say that the stock market has hit lows where it hasn't seen in a long time since Trump has been in office. So I'm with Serge. Y'all keep blaming everything on the Democrats. This stuff ain't happened before. Stuff has not happened before. Thank you for indulging us on our socially conscious segment. We got a couple of minutes that we still have Tamika and Vivian with us. We are talking about this youth pastor who gave his family a knife job instead of giving them the information that they were about to lose their housing, their home. Instead, he opted to go from room to room, stabbing his wife and his children, and killing them was a better option than letting them know. And now he looks like this. What does he look like, Shantice? Look at his face. That's what he looks like now. Vivian, killing your children is better than letting them know. I said, he ain't on this side of the fence because we got a whole lot more endurance than that.
Yeah. I mean, as a father, you would sooner, and at least in this community, you would sooner abandon your family than kill them. He decided not even to take his own life because he couldn't handle the what he has done. But you decided to take your family's life, burn down the house, and then what? It just, I know we don't like to call mental illness for everything, but this sounds like some real mental illness going on. That's sad. That's sad. To be able, now maybe you would have thought of it the first time and you stabbed one person, but to go throughout the house and stab up your family,
5 children,
go throughout the house and stab up the entire family, and being able to do that and then set the house on fire, that's crazy.
Shantice, Vivian has said this part, and Ketty and Tamika have said, hey, what happened to prayer? You're supposed to be a youth pastor. A youth pastor, you want to trust him with your youth, and you can't even trust him with your family?
That's what I was about to emphasize. The youth pastor, and yet he just tried to kill the youth. I was kind of thinking the same thing that Vivian was thinking. They would sooner say, "I'll be back, I'm going for bread," and you won't see him for 20 years.
Right.
And then when you see your father again, it's like, "What that loaf of bread you said you went to go get? It took you 20 years to earn the money to get that bread." It's just, see, and this is what happens. We talk about it with the kids, and we could talk about it with that community as well. This is what happens when you don't know nothing about going through nothing. How many times have our jobs been in jeopardy? We done been late or cussed out the supervisor or the boss. They done threatened us or whatever the case may be. I know someone who, I don't know what kind of grace the Lord has given him, but he's the only one I knew who could go on a job, cuss the people out, and go back the next day and clock in like nothing happened. And I'm like, what is happening? What is happening with this situation? But this is just a whole other level of, I don't want to be held accountable for nothing. Because you didn't want to have to explain. First of all, it's but so much you're going to have to explain to your children. Other than, we may have to move because mommy or daddy lost our job. You ain't got to go into no real intricate detail. That's another part. That's nothing that's wrong with that community. But listen, on this side, when we got to cut down, all you get is, we don't buy that no more. Don't ask for that no more. Don't look for that no more. If you ask, I'm gonna smack you in the mouth. Then I said we don't buy that no more. Ain't no explanation. All I know is we used to drink Sprite. Now we drink Stars and Stripes. That's it. Ain't no explanation. As the spouse, I'm serious. As the spouse, of course, there has to be some serious dialogue going on. But for the children, this is why you felt the need to kill, because y'all just feel the need to explain. So now you all under pressure, because it's like, I don't have to explain this to one person. I have to explain this to 4 people. No, you did this to yourself. Okay, so this is just horrible. It's beyond sad. And you sit up in the court right now, and I was reading the quote that's above, talking about to my wife and kids. Shut up! Don't be giving no apology in court. Because what could you say to these kids that you didn't traumatize them, all because you couldn't pay the mortgage this month? You ain't teaching them nothing about life.
Well, we're going to lose Vivian. Thank you so much, Vivian, for your contribution today in this conversation. And we thank you for your socially conscious segment. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You as well. Have a good day, everyone.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Terrence says, he looks like, where is Waldo, the white version? Oh my goodness gracious. Serge says, the other side of the fence always plays victim to their own actions, never take accountability for it, however, use mental illness as a trump card. Wow. Pastor KL says, how old were the kids that they all waited their turn? Well,
they were sleeping though, right?
They were in the bed. Had that been the other side of the fence, they would have been hollering.
Well, for one, because everybody wouldn't have had their own room.
That's right.
By the time you would have walked in there, it's sad. By the time you would have walked in there and attacked one, the others would have woke up and jumped you. So you would have had to keep one home from school or something, because that wasn't like that.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, they all wouldn't have been separated. You wouldn't go from room to room. It would have been a much different outcome, when and that's gonna come up in the next story, and you're gonna see why I say it would have been a much different outcome. But they say that it's a little confusing, because they say he got 29 years and 5 months in prison. And they then said, another report says he has 2 consecutive terms of 188 months, each for 2 counts of attempted first-degree premeditated murder. And that's why I had Shantice put that picture up there, because now you look like that. What you looking like that for now? You should have been looking like that before, when you sat before your family and told them what was going on. Well, what's the point of looking like that now? All right. On the flip side of this story, we've got a 14, 15, and 16 set of girls in Texas who have been arrested for attempting to stab their mother for turning off the Wi-Fi. Now, I was really trying to figure out the side of the fence these kids was on, because they also said, according to the report, the mother also was allegedly struck with a brick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this story has come up several times, and it's another story that I had on my radar and kept flipping to another day and just never ended up getting to it. And it took 3 of these kids to attack their mother for turning off the Wi-Fi. Now, Shantice, I'm gonna give you, a time to communicate what your thoughts are on this story.
You trying to kill me for the Wi-Fi I pay for? You made it seem like y'all anteed up y'all little summer youth checks and paid for the Wi-Fi, but I got mad at y'all and said I'm taking it out. And you said not my money, you ain't taking my T-Mobile, my T-Mobile extender. That me and my sisters, we put our summer youth checks together to make sure we had Wi-Fi this summer. You must be out your mind, lady. What is happening? And again, we talk about it all the time. We know what it was to have no devices and Wi-Fi, nothing. Our biggest dilemma was, who got the cable cord for the double dutch? Why did you give Keisha back the cord for the double dutch, knowing we were going to need it today? You know her mother ain't letting her come back outside this week. So now we can't play double dutch because your cable cord is whack. It don't turn the same. That was our biggest dilemma. Now y'all trying to jump your mother and commit murder because you can't log on to TikTok. This is why they should have never brought it back, even though they never took it away. This is when the mental health turns to just straight evilness. It see how quickly it goes from mental health to just wickedness. That's why we can't keep dwelling on this mental health. Because mental health is just if I walked in the house and just cussed my mother out because I ain't got no Wi-Fi. That's mental health. But when we now sit and plan on, because that was a plan, to sit and plan on how to kill her because we ain't got no bars on our cell phone. No, absolutely. And where's the FBI? I remember at one point, Pastor Steph, we were trying to figure out what was going on with our Wi-Fi. And when we went on to choose the Wi-Fi, we kept seeing the FBI truck pop up as an option.
Right.
Where is that?
Right.
Y'all need to be posted up in more communities, people, sir, ma'am. Y'all need to be posted up because y'all interfering with people's Wi-Fi, and parents is waking up dead. Okay, we will have to rise as the people and get this together because this is too much. Parents need to start, and it's funny because I just said this to my niece last week. I said, "You're gonna learn how to survive with eating food without this phone."
Yeah,
you gonna learn. You gonna learn what it means to oh, you forgot your fork, but you and the phone gotta go and get the fork. If I could have just smacked that phone across the house, like put the phone down. I ask you to fix the curtain that's 2 steps away from you, you and the phone have to go and fix the curtain. Put the phone down. And then this is what happens because it becomes a part of you. It's like your head or your arm. It's your head or your arm or your fingers. You can't do nothing without these devices. Stop. This is just beyond sick. It's beyond sick. It's beyond sick. And I wish you would look at me cross-eyed. They didn't plan on the brick. They didn't wait and chose the brick from the night before, all that. I wish you would look at me cross-eyed because my demeanor went from calm to off the hook real quick. Because I'm like, is that the phone going with you? Why? I said, fix the curtain. Now I know YouTube teaches you how to do everything, but you need YouTube to teach you how to fix the curtain? Oh my gosh. Parents, get it together. Get it together. Break this vicious cycle. Strip your kids of these devices, because now look at what happens. First, wait, a couple of years ago, Pastor Steph, you gave a story about the little boy who killed his mother because of the headphones or something.
Right.
Now
right.
look. Mm-hmm. It ain't even accessories no more now. Now it's just the Wi-Fi. Anything can happen with the Wi-Fi. That it don't have to be your parents' fault, but your parents are gonna pay for it. Absolutely not. This is crazy. This is crazy. No. Anyone born after 1990 is just straight. If you were born after 1990, you need a psych evaluation every 3 months.
Oh, goodness gracious. Anika says, my goodness. Tara said they did that because they couldn't do their TikTok videos. And he says, you walking in the house cursing her out because she gave you liquor when you was a baby. Anika says Shantice is going off.
Because this is crazy.
You know, when I read this story, 14, 15, and 16, I have, so let's say Shantice was 16. She had an 11-year-old sister, and she had what? A 3-year-old.
Yes,
yeah,
so
a 3-year-old sister.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I thought about the 3 of them approaching me about Wi-Fi. At 20, 15, and 7. And I said to myself, I wish you would approach me about some Wi-Fi in a life-threatening manner.
That you paid for, Pastor.
I'm going to say that I worked for and decided to put in the house. That it is not a necessity, it is a luxury. And this is what happens when these things that are luxuries become necessities. Phones, tablets, iPads, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, all of this stuff becomes necessities opposed to luxuries when they are made to feel like they cannot survive without it. And I laughed at Shantice when she said about the phone being carted around, because I looked the other day and I had to really stop and just stare. And I said, okay, I'm not gonna say nothing, because maybe it's just the grandmother in me that says,
I said it for you.
That says, now why are we carrying the phone with us? But I just said, I just looked, I shook my head, and I just walked off. I said, maybe it was she and Jesus on the line. I didn't want to interrupt the two, because I was a bit confused myself. I'm like, well, why you need the phone to walk over here and do that? And this is the way these children have become so attached to, this is their lifeline. If people only used the Jesus as the lifeline, the way these kids use these devices and apps as a lifeline, we'd be much better. Pastor Steph throwing out one hit to quit as I see. Yeah, man.
Man, let me tell you something, Terrence. Back in Pastor Steph's prime, if ACS is listening, well, I'm an adult now. Back in Pastor Steph's prime, I'll never forget, she caught me by that front door and punched me in my face so hard. You know how in the cartoons you see stars and you just be standing there for, I was like, wait, hold up, just wait a minute. just hold up, just wait a minute. And it was something stupid I done did. Something stupid I done did. But that, see what happens? Anyone after 1990, they didn't get that. They didn't get that. These parents get soft. Pastor Steph, I think
that's
you need
the
to
story.
You hold
That's
some
the
seminar.
story she tells when she's been after she started drinking. Thank you so much, Shantice, for your contribution into today's conversation, and we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you too, Pastor Steph.
Yes, that's after she started drinking and sipping on the yak, Terrence. I would have never made her see stars. Now, if she approached me about that Wi-Fi, maybe she would have seen them stars. But she saw them stars when she woke up drunk, and I didn't know that she had been drinking. Tyson Pastor Steph. Now, not even in my former life, Terrence. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. All jokes aside, we're talking about two different dynamics. We're talking about a parental dynamic. And one of the things that I can identify in a way, one of the things, and Shantice will be able to tell you this, which is true. As a parent, you want to save your children from a lot of the blows that you go through. As a single parent, there were times when things were just rough and we just could not have it. And interestingly enough, we never sacrificed stuff like Wi-Fi and things like that. So I'm trying to think like, okay, so then what will we do? What are we talking about here? I'm being very honest. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, when times got hard, I didn't say anything to the kids. I just made it happen. The Lord was just on my side, and they just ended up having, and they never knew what it took. I never stole, I never robbed, I never did anything illegal to make it happen. But at the end of the day, it happened because, again, the Lord loved us enough and favored us enough to make it happen. Like I always say to you all, I had family support. My parents were phenomenal with the support. We had an extended family that weren't extended. They were like at arm's reach. I don't know. You always hear me talk about Auntie Pam, because Auntie Pam was like second and third mother. They were always just there. Grandma, Auntie Pam, Auntie Brenda, they were just there. So, I didn't get that financial support. We had just love and care, and if you needed, you got. Just undeniably, it didn't matter what they had to do. They helped you to make it happen. And your children just didn't know what it took to make it happen. And yet they never went short of on a Wi-Fi, on food. They always laugh and talk about how frugal I was. Shantice always talks about they didn't get Dr. Pepper, they got Dr. Thunder. And you know what I always say to them? But y'all were never hungry. I would go for the off-brand, and we didn't get Apple Jacks. We got Apple Zings. that I still eat today, by the way. But, all jokes aside, your children never really knew. And later on in life, as they got older, and I started telling Shantice some of the real deal, like, okay, let me help you understand how all of this has been going down. What I've had to do, rob Peter to pay Paul, how I had to go without this so that y'all could have that, blah, 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 and really just kind of breaking it down and letting her know, what was going on. I have said to other parents, I said, at my own admittance, at my own fault, I did not share with them, the struggle. And you know what? Maybe I should have, because what happens is what you see. You see parents trying to kill you so that they don't have to tell you what the struggle is like. Or you have the children who try to kill the parents because the parents said, you don't deserve Wi-Fi. Or guess what? It was between eating or Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, I went with eating or lights or, some other necessity like rent, so you end up with this here. You end up with, the school of hard knocks that they don't know nothing about. And I have said, and I have neighbors and things like that who we've talked about this a million times, and we have admitted we needed to have told these kids what the deal was. But now they understand. As older, as adults themselves, now they're like, yo, they're out there. Some of them are out there on their own, and they're like, yo, I now see, Mom, what you went through to, make it happen for us. It wasn't easy. And, now I got to pay my own bills, and I don't want to give up my money to pay the bills. I want to give up your money to pay the bills. And that comes from our fault. That's our fault, because we tried to shield them. But by no means, when it was time to let them know, I'm sorry, you can't get these brand new sneakers. I'm sorry, we're going to have to go bunk with Big Mama and them, or, Tracy and them, her and the kids going to have to come and stay here with us. So y'all just gonna have to move over, and everybody, we gonna have to share beds, share rooms. I know it's gonna be a little uncomfortable, but y'all gonna have to bunk up and share some space. Nobody tried to kill the children. It wasn't a matter of life and death. You just dealt with it. And that's what family does. Family just bands together, and we just make it happen. It's just such as life, and if times get hard and we gotta, rally up the pennies, then we just rally up the pennies. If somebody ain't got something to eat, we gonna make it happen. We gonna get y'all just come on over here and y'all eat tonight. And then the next night, y'all going over to Sandra house and y'all eating. The next time y'all go over to Tommy's house and y'all eat. Whatever it takes. But death, killing, I'm going to kill you, my wife, and my children to keep from telling you that we're going to be evicted. And like Ketty said, what happened to prayer? You're supposed to be a youth pastor. But when people say, they get caught stealing food, and they'll say, well, I'm sorry, I just did what I had to do, for my family. And I'm like, I ain't going to jail. We going over to so-and-so house and we going to eat, and I'm going to put my tail between my legs, and I'm going to be a little embarrassed and tell my girlfriend or Auntie Pam and them or Grandma and them or Auntie Brenda and them or Uncle so-and-so and them that we ain't got nothing to eat, and we need something to eat before we go hungry, or I'm going to Stop and Shop and try to steal dinner. Those are not options for us. They shouldn't be options for us. Death, you want to kill your family so that you don't look like a failure? No, I'm sorry. This ain't mental illness. This is evil. It is straight evil. That's what this is. This is evil. This ain't no mental illness for Stephanie. I can't put that, certain things are mental illness. But this here, this is straight, in my opinion, this is straight evil. Because we had options. At what point when you went through, how many times did you contemplate killing the family? This is planned. This is planned. They figured it out. He's been charged with 2 counts of premeditated, 2 consecutive 188-month terms for 2 counts of premeditated murder for 6 people. That's mental illness for me. Now, one time when you went to stab somebody, did you look like, oh my God, this is my family? Oh my God, this is my baby who me and my wife had in St. Vincent's Hospital, and I gave out cigars when they were born. Yo, what are you talking about? We can't be that concerned about being embarrassed. So you need to start talking to your children and letting them know, listen, it's getting tight around here. We're going to have to go without this Wi-Fi. We'll have to go about without y'all sitting up all night on these games, because that is running up the electricity bill. Y'all going to have to take some shorter showers. We're going to have to eat some bread and some Franks. I had neighbors. I will never forget this as long as I live. I had neighbors. It was a couple with 2 children who were renting next door to me. And I'm over here by myself struggling to pay my mortgage. And they were over there. And what he would do is he would go in the backyard, right on that porch, and he would light up that grill, and he would cook hamburgers and Franks. Hamburgers and Franks. There was never any chicken, no ribs, no beef, no steak, no nothing. Hamburgers and hot dogs. And I generally don't get into people's business, but I don't know what happened one day. I went back there and I saw him with 100th time with his hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill. And we got to talking. And he said to me, he said, me and my wife have decided that this is what we're doing. They had a boy and a girl. This is what we're doing. This is what we're buying. We make a bunch of sides, whether it's beans, macaroni and cheese, rice, some type of pasta, whatever it was, and a vegetable. And that's what they ate. So at one point, the home was being unexpectedly purchased. The entire home, 3 levels of the home were being rented. And the home was being purchased unexpectedly by someone. And they needed them to move so that they could come in and fix up the house and put it on the market. And they had enough money. They gave them money, a couple of dollars, to help them move. They had money to go purchase a house. Yes, they had saved enough money for a down payment to go purchase a home. They need them people money. They deserved the money. They took the money because they were pushing the people out. Whatever the lease was, they were going to buy them out of the lease. But they had their money. You know why? Because instead of buying all that expensive food and all of that stuff, and he said to me, he said, I don't let them stay up all night watching no TV. He said, we cut back on the bills. Okay, I don't know how we got into this conversation, but he broke it down. And when it was time for them to move, they were able to have a down payment on their home. Now, here's what the rest of us do. We try to go get programs that don't require us to put a down payment, which means our monthly payments are higher because we still want this 15, 30-year term. No, they had a plan. So this is what we need to, and they clearly explained it to the kids. Because he told me, he said, we told them, listen, I know what other people are buying. I know what other people are eating, but this is our plan. And when they moved from here, they had enough money for a down payment on a home. We failed to plan properly. And because we failed to plan properly, when things go awry, we don't know how to tell the kids, well, I'm sorry. When that was it came to my awareness that I should have talked to them a long time ago. To Major and Shawnee's knew everything at that point. Shantique may have not gotten early enough, but them last two, oh, they knew everything. Let me tell you how this is getting done. Let me tell you why it's tight on this end. Let me tell you why I told you no for this. Let me tell you why you can't get these sneakers after I just bought you sneakers such and such. Let me tell you why you can't get these nails done. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, the last two, they knew everything. Because I wasn't hiding nothing. I got tired of bearing this load by myself. And I was like, nope, we're not doing that no more. I learned my lesson. Everybody gonna know you either go in the room and cry or you go find a way to live without it. And suck it up and keep it moving. Because getting a job ain't an option in this house until you finish school. Sorry. Sometimes it's hard to make those decisions. It's hard to be a parent at times. I don't think people without children understand what it is sometimes to be a parent. And I'm not saying you know how to be a parent. Don't be over in the corner crying tomorrow. Pastor Steph said, I'm telling you, it is very difficult. You've got to make some real hard decisions when it's time to be a parent. And this youth pastor, he wasn't prepared. He was not prepared. He allowed this world and the weight of the world to bear down so heavily on his shoulders that his option to cancel out the family and himself, because he wasn't going to jail. He wasn't going to eat that. He wasn't going to eat that. No, because if you could eat jail, you could eat telling your kids that we about to get evicted. I'm sorry. He didn't know what to do. And we have to brace ourselves, plan properly. Is that the answer for you? Trust God. Is that the answer for you? Learn to know the Lord we talk about. Learn to know the Lord we teach and preach about. And, that was one of the challenges that, I heard a few years ago, when pastors were killing themselves. The challenge was from other pastors, all of us who were still here, we challenged one another to support one another. We have to live what we preach about. We're telling people just do it. We're telling people to trust God. We're telling people Jesus is the answer. We're telling God is a comforter. We're telling Jesus is a healer. We're talking about God is the doctor in the sick room and the lawyer in the courtroom. We talking about how God will make a way out of no way. We're talking about how God is a miracle worker. We're talking about how God is an amazing God. But we kill ourselves. Because that's what the path he was on. That's the path that he was on. So let's get ourselves together as parents. Let's get ourselves together as Christian individuals and trust the God we talk about. Trust the God that is in that word, that living word. Learn to shake it off and give it to him, because you clearly can't carry it. This is what happens when we make the attempt to carry it. There is no way in the world we can bear these burdens alone. Take it to the Lord in prayer. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. The ladies always get the job done. Thank you for hanging out with us and keeping that chat room alive. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Jesus your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord, as you can hear why. Because later is not promised to us. I always tell you, later is not necessarily death. There was a moment between him being sane and doing the right thing and trusting God. And when he let go and snapped and went after his family, that's what I mean when I say later is not promised to any of us. Our sanity is not guaranteed if we don't trust in the Lord and strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now. Until tomorrow, God spares, where it's Therapeutic Thursday. Until then, I love you.